Commission for Public Safety and Accountability is called to order. First, I'll do a call of the roll. Today, I'll be chairing the meeting, and the president will be joining us virtually. Please place your cell phones on silent mode, remain seated, and if you will be using any small handheld devices, please refrain from using them in any way that interferes with the ability of others to see or hear the proceedings. I'm going to put my phone on. Okay. As you enter today, you may have noticed signage related to rules of decorum for commission meetings. Violations of the rules may result in removal. Okay. We'll begin by calling the roll to establish a quorum. Commissioner Driver, Commissioner Gottlieb, Commissioner Minor,
Present.
Commissioner Piemonte,
Present.
Vice President Ruby Navarrijo, present. Commissioner Wortham,
Present.
President Terry. Well,
Present virtually.
thank you. With 6 members of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability present, we have a quorum and we can conduct the commission's business. Commissioner Terry has requested to participate virtually. I move that Commissioner Terry be allowed to participate virtually.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed vote nay. The ayes have it, and Commissioner Terry's virtual attendance is approved, and she's been added to the roll. The next item of business is public comment. If you would like to share something related to the Commission's work on public safety and accountability, you have a few options. You can speak at a public meeting. You can also submit public comment in writing by emailing your comment to communitycommissionpubliccomment@cityofchicago.org, or you can bring a copy of your comment to one of the Commission's public meetings and give it to someone on the Commission or someone on the Commission staff. People who wanted to speak during public comment period tonight were asked to submit their names in earlier tonight. Names are then drawn at random by a member of the staff. Speakers will be called in the order in which your names were drawn. If your name is called to offer public comment, we ask that you approach the microphone and line up in the order in which your name is called. When it's your turn to speak, please say your name, then spell your name, then offer your comments. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. Our first speaker today is Ashley Pantoja. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Ashley Pantoja or Pantoja, sorry.
Hi, my name is Ashley Pantoja. It's ASHLEYPANTOJA. And we are demanding an end to pretextual traffic stops. Chicago has a high rate of pretextual traffic stops, overwhelmingly targeting our Black and Brown communities. We have seen here in Chicago, as well as other cities, that ICE has been using this tactic in order to pull more people over, leading to the community fearing a minor traffic stop, as there have been cases where ICE has escalated them. It is important we prevent more casualties caused by ICE using this tactic. What are your plans to stop this?
Thank you. The next speaker is Omar Flores. Omar Flores.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity today to speak. My name is Omar Flores. I am a co-chair of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression's Immigrant Rights Working Committee. And I am here because I've personally been victim to ICE's violence. I've had situations where my rights were violated. I've had situations where they've pulled me over and told me that what I was doing was illegal. Well, it was not illegal. I've had ICE get in my face. I've had ICE throw tear gas at me for simply observing what was going on in the community. I was not impeding. I was standing on a sidewalk. I was recording the interactions, and they still threatened me, and they still attacked me. And the reason why I mention this is because, you know, here in Chicago, it's very clear that obviously we can't really exactly control ICE, right? But we can control how we respond to how ICE is treating us. These types of things should never be allowed. We've seen plenty of instances of CPD supposedly coming out when the people are out there showing their righteous anger, but we have seen CPD do nothing when it comes to them violating our rights. When they told me that what I was doing was illegal, when they tossed tear gas at me, when they got in my face, where was CPD to defend us from them when they were violating our rights? And so there needs to be an end to the finger pointing that's been going on from the CCPSA and COPA. It's your guys' job to be creative in this moment, because if we aren't, people's lives are literally counting on it, as we're seeing in Minneapolis. And so what absolutely needs to happen is that there needs to be transparency as to any interaction between CPD and ICE. Without transparency, we cannot have justice. And what happened in the South Loop, for example, we had requested FOIAs over what happened in South Loop when CPD was clearly working with ICE. What they told us is that there was no relevant footage as to what was going on. The CCPSA is able to resolve this issue by releasing monthly reports on any interactions between CPD and DHS, so we could hold these cops accountable for cooperating with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Louis Carhart. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Louise Carhart. I'm also a co-chair of Harper's IRWC. I'm also an immigration attorney in Chicago. I represent a lot of people right now who have been victimized by ICE, who have been detained by ICE, who continue to be detained by ICE, and who have been detained in the streets in Chicago and afforded no protection, and have actually suffered because of the actions of CPD in terms of refusing to protect our community from ICE's actions. I'm here to talk about our demand on CCPSA to put forward demands that CPD stop providing crowd control at when rapid response is on the scene, when ICE is actively antagonizing our communities. I've been there. I was there in Brighton Park when CPD put up a line of officers with their backs to ICE and their faces to us. And they are protecting ICE. They're not protecting us. If they were protecting us, their backs would be to us, their faces would be to ICE. And instead, they all got tear gassed, and we all got tear gassed. The inherent sentiment that comes from crowd control that CPD provides is that they are okay, they condone the tactics that ICE is taking. And we as a city have voted, we as a state have voted to remove ourselves from any kind of interaction with civil law enforcement, and providing crowd control to this kind of civil law enforcement, which actively violates the rights of our community members and violates residents of Chicago's rights. Again, those are our police officers. They are not ICE's police officers. And we ask that you take any action to make sure that CPD does not provide crowd control cover for ICE.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Grace Patino. Grace Patino. Yeah, it was Waldo's getting her.
Hi, thank you for waiting. Sorry about that. So I first want to actually thank some of the commissioners up here who did show up at City Hall this week and voiced support for assigning COPA the investigations of officers who violate the Welcoming City Ordinance. I think that was correct, and I appreciate that, and I encourage the rest of you to step up to the plate and support that initiative as well. I also request that the CCPSA push for investigations of officers with ties to racist hate groups to be moved from under BIA to COPA, which is an initiative that your district counselors put forward to you for 2025. So I would love to hear an update on the work you've been doing on that. I also would like to request that the CCPSA take up engaging in some fact-finding for the community. So what that would look like, what I'm requesting that looks like, is requesting documents from CPD regarding any type of CPD and ICE collaboration. That could be emails, any 911 call logs, anything like that. I'm also wanting to know of any internal memorandums or guidance that CPD has issues to its employees regarding immigration enforcement for the month. And a running list of all commanders in Chicago broken down by district. And I think it's really important that that information be refreshed every month because we know that officers do move around quite a bit. And I think that it's just important for the community to feel like we have some sort of idea what's going on behind closed doors. I also request CCPSA add to CPD policy that they do not provide crowd control for immigration activity. It should be federal funds going towards federal operations, not our tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Maya Sanchez. Maya Sanchez.
Good evening. My name is Maya, Maya Sanchez, Sanchez. I'm here to echo some of the things that have already been said. I think y'all have a responsibility to us to work to end CPD crowd control during immigration enforcement activities. Can I move this? Oh, cool. Okay. CPD crowd control during immigration enforcement activities legitimizes and encourages ICE's extrajudicial kidnappings and recognized violations of federal law. In Chicago specifically, ICE has a pattern and practice of detaining people without warrants or probable cause. Being protected by a line of CPD officers allows them to carry out these illegal detentions with little public accountability. In Chicago and other cities, we've seen that local law enforcement emboldens ICE and results in injuries to the public. I'm newer to the city, but my understanding is that you guys are out here to protect the citizens of Chicago, the people of Chicago. Clearly, what's been going on is not, in any case, protecting people. So for the safety and health of everyone in this city, we encourage you to act on this and listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Kayla Nguyen. Kayla Nguyen. I'm sorry.
My name is Kayla Nguyen. That's Kayla, last name N as in Nancy, G as in George, Uyen. At the special hearing on January 8th, this commission heard from countless community members regarding the need for an end to CPD ICE collaboration. Over 1,500 people showed up to Talia Hall to demand an investigation for the commission to do what is right by the people and to do everything with the fullest extent of your power and the highest level of urgency to hold CPD accountable for these crimes against the Black and brown immigrant communities. Today, at this meeting where you are setting your goals for the year, the community again demands the same. We put forward a demand to present to the community on a monthly basis all communications, internal memos, and guidances regarding CPD and ICE collaboration. We want collaborators addressed publicly, and we want them to face meaningful consequences now, because it is a shame that this city continues to wait to take action on wrongs people know to be true. Further, we demand that the commission move to end CPD crowd control during immigration enforcement activities. Why is CPD legitimizing and encouraging these kidnappings? Why must the people of Chicago fight both our local law enforcement and ICE at the same time? The protection of CPD, not for our people, but for ICE, emboldens these federal killers and results in further injuries to our Black and brown communities. If the federal government wishes to launch these attacks on our people and loved ones, then they should have sufficient resources and funds themselves to face the consequences of their actions. All of these things should be at the top of your goals for this year. And if the commission is unable to carry out any of these demands, it is ever exceptionally clearer that the people need the CPOP referendum to make this commission accountable and to expand the powers of police accountability in the city, because anything less is unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Scarlett Johnson. Scarlett Johnson.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Johnson, SCARLET JOHNSON. I'm here to demand that I'm here to demand that CCPSA choose a COPA head with a strong record of pro accountability. We want COPA to be a strong mechanism for enforcement, and without someone at the head with a track record of accountability, the Welcoming City Ordinance will continue to be what it is, non-existent. A COPA head will spearhead investigations and will ensure that we do not pass the Welcoming City Ordinance as a sympathetic act. It is time to back up our words with actions, and a strong COPA head is important to ensure that happens. I am also here to say that after a historic showing at the special meeting earlier this month, many people that I talked to that left there was their first time ever interacting with the CCPSA, and they left with a very sour taste in their mouth because of how the people on this commission treated the people of the community with contempt. We need the community power over policing referendum so that this commission can be held accountable and the seats will be directly elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brian Young Jr. Brian Young Jr.
Hello, Brian Young Jr., BrianYoungjJR. I'm a member of the 25th District and the 31st Ward. And I thought of a lot to say, but I'm just tired. I'm just really fucking tired. I'm a member of the 25th District, a district that has a lot of brown and black people. I'm a black working class person that organizes in a community where any day my people can be taken out from the police or be snatched up by these fucking Gestapos in ICE. And we've been coming here in 2024 when Dexter Reed was killed by the police officers over pretextual traffic stops. When this young man was killed, he was gunned down like a fucking animal in the street. I organized and I came here with the community and demanded that we end pretextual stops that was pushed on the fucking back burner. So I'm here again today because I want the community commission to actually live up to what the community fought for off the backs of the Black Liberation Movement. In 2021, Chicago created the most historic form of police accountability that this country has ever seen in the Empowering Communities for Public Safety Ordinance. The same ordinance that created y'all's position. I want you to live up to that. I want you to end pretextual stops, and I want you to end these fucking TAC teams who attacked Dexter Reed, and we need the referendum for community power over policing. Thank you. I'm Brian Young Jr.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Driver is present. Our next speaker is, I'm sorry, I can't, Gerima is the last name, G-E-R. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I just want to start by saying that I'm a member of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, but I was actually in D.C. during Trump's takeover of that city throughout the time where they had military, ICE, and everybody in between terrorizing Black and brown communities all over the city, and it's still going on actually. And, you know, we had some really incredible cases, such as the case of Philip Brown, who was nearly killed by HSI in the exact same fashion as Renee Good. The only difference is that the officer missed. Philip Brown actually had a bullet hole in the collar of his shirt. That's how close he came to death when the HSI officer shot into his car claiming self-defense. And the attorney, the U.S. attorney or the AG's office refused to prosecute because they said the bullet never hit anybody. So they can't prosecute that case. Now that made me think, in Chicago, as Brian said, we have the most historic form of police, oversight and soon to be control in the country. And yet, the members here who are refusing to take action have turned it into another milquetoast, lame duck, oversight body, just like any other one in any other city. It has been several months where ICE officers have done, all kinds of things. You all have not taken action. And, if you've turned it into a toothless body. And I think that we're on our way to pass this referendum. We're on our way to give this body even more power. And that also means we're on our way to replacing the people on this body who refuse to turn it into a fighting machine for the community, which is what it was built for. It is built for police accountability. There's a lot of happy officers sitting in this room right now because there are a lot of people on this board who are doing nothing, or in fact are complicit and standing in the way of actual forward progress. And so I look forward to the next round of elections. You know what I mean? Because we are going to turn this thing into what it was meant to be from the get-go, with or without you all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Nova Mohiuddin.
Hi there, my name is Nova. I'm a member of Chicago Socialist Alternative and also a resident of Rogers Park. Over the past 7 months, we've seen J.B. Pritzker allow state police to beat people at the Broadview facility, and in line with what a lot of the public comment is saying right now, CPD does not, Brandon Johnson has passed an ordinance for CPD to not intervene. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Johnson has told us there's nothing we can do to make CPD intervene to protect legal observers, not that we would ever expect them to. So we cannot trust the Democrats and we cannot trust the police. We haven't for a long time, and they've done nothing to change that. The work of rapid response organizers has been absolutely heroic in the city. If you haven't followed the work of Protect Rogers Park, do it. As a part of school patrols and rapid response with PRP, me and my neighbors have seen now how CPD allowed CBP to use their station parking lots and more. We've seen them defend ICE and intimidate protesters and local leaders. But the district councilors are right about one thing. Look at what community power can bring together. ICE are using hit and run tactics all over the city and the country, and they're going to be back in further force this spring. And we know that CPD won't keep us safe from the last time around. They are killing legal observers, and the strategy that CCPSA seems to want to take by having a listening session will never keep us safe. We need our own strategy, a collective offensive strategy. We can't remain on the defensive. We have to take the fight to Trump, ICE, and the capitalist class. We have to walk out of campuses and workplace to shut down business as usual, in line with the example that the brave workers and community members in Minneapolis have set. We are trying to help build that effort here in the city, meetings where we can come together as neighborhood groups and real fighting organizations, talking together, open for all, and where we can plan for sit-ins, walkouts, and strikes. If Brandon Johnson wants to say there should be a general strike, let's actually give him one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker is Claudette Bukhari. Claudette Bukhari.
Hello, good evening. My name is Claudette Bukhari, Claudettete Bukhari. Now, firstly, I'd like to say that, again, I hope that you all reform the way that you deliberate, because it's very Trump-like the way that certain members of this commission cut off discussion and debate when they start to lose or when they can't hang. Specifically, I've seen coordination between Commissioner Navarrijo, the executive director, on camera, and Commissioner Driver. And that needs to stop. That needs to stop. That's just replicating what Trump does, and we're not going to make forward motion on any issue if that is allowed to continue. Secondly, I want to address that In a similar fashion, Commissioner Driver said on the floor of Truman College that he supported and saw the value in decriminalization of substances. And then at a later meeting, when I approached him, he went out of his way, before I could even say anything to him, he went out of his way to lie to me and say that he didn't support that and that he never said that he supported that. And this is the type of thing that stalls progress. And while good work has been done on the gang database, again, issues of the so-called criminal class are not dealt with. Y'all are predatory towards them. And because we didn't deal with Larry Hoover, now we all have to deal with Larry Ellison and the carceral surveillance that's going to come upon us. And lastly, Commissioner Driver, you're always trying to make Lee Bielecki happy. And when you're not doing that, you're supporting this.
Thank you for your comment. Time is up. I appreciate it. Thank you for your comment. We've reached the end of public comment period. Thank you to all of our speakers. We value your input. The next order of business is approval of minutes. Before today's meeting, draft minutes of the commission's regular meeting held on December 11th were shared with all commissioners. Are there any corrections to the draft minutes that have been circulated?
No.
Public comment period is over. I appreciate it though. So is there any, if there's no corrections, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Those in favor of adopting the motion to approve the minutes of the commission's meeting held on December 11th, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Our next order of business will be new business. The first item is the approval of a series of closed meetings. Section 2C1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act allows the commission to meet in closed session to consider the following subjects: the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. Section 2A of the Act authorizes the commission to take a vote to hold a series of closed meetings over the course of not more than 3 months from today, and only for the purposes cited under Section 2C1. Over the next few months, the commission may need to meet in closed session for reasons that are allowed under the Open Meetings Act, including discussions related to the performance of specific CCPSA employees. I move to hold a series of closed meetings to take place for the maximum period allowable, as authorized by Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. Is there a second?
Second.
I have moved to hold a series of closed meetings to take place for the maximum period allowable, as authorized by Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. Commissioner Minor has seconded. Is there any debate on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of holding a series of closed meetings to take place for the maximum time period allowable as authorized by Section 2C1 of the OMA, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The commission is authorized to hold a series of closed meetings to take place for the maximum time period allowable as authorized by Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. Our next item on the agenda is a vote on the commission's selection of the Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, or COPA. We'll start with a rundown of where we've been and how we got here and a description of the process. In February of 2025, the former COPA Chief Administrator resigned. Under a city ordinance passed in July of 2021, when there is a vacancy in the position of Chief Administrator at COPA, the commission is responsible for leading the search and selecting a candidate. After the commission selects a candidate, the city council decides whether to confirm the candidate. The commission selection process for chief administrator requires that the commission get input from people across the city. From April to June 25, the commission conducted 4 listening sessions on the north, south, and west sides of the city. The commission also held listening sessions with COPA employees and CPD members. We also consulted with more than 20 subject matter experts from around the country. We organized target focus groups with a range of groups, including young people and justice-impacted individuals. We took into account all the input we received and used it to develop a description of the most important things we were looking for in a candidate. That information was included in a job application we put out in September. The application was circulated nationwide. We received 27 selections from candidates across the country, and we carefully reviewed all the applications. Every commissioner reviewed the applications. We met in closed session and discussed applicants and identified the candidates to interview. The commission conducted 2 rounds for the position. 5 candidates were selected for round 1 interviews, and 4 candidates were chosen for round 2 interviews. In the interviews, we assessed candidates' qualifications, experience, and alignment with the goals and values that we had highlighted in the application, and the qualities and characteristics that were highlighted throughout the CCPSA's community engagement process. After the interviews, background checks were conducted on all finalists, and we engaged in hours of discussion and deliberation, working to identify the candidate who is best qualified for the job. Tonight, we're going to vote on the commission's nominee. After the vote, the mayor will have an opportunity to comment on the nominee. But please note that unlike most other appointment processes in the city, the mayor does not have decision-making authority in this process. The commission's nominee will go to the city council for a full hearing with the police and fire committee, and then a full vote of the full city council. I would like to present a little information about the nominee. The nominee for the position of COPA Chief Administrator is LaKenya White. Ms. White is currently the interim Chief Administrator at COPA. We believe that Ms. White has the key qualities the commission was looking for. She served as a leader with integrity. She has a long history of investigative evidence, excellence. She prioritizes timely, impartial, and thorough investigations. She can build public trust in COPA. She's strengthened internal culture and operations with the little staff that she's had in her leadership team. She's worked collaboratively with other accountability agencies, and she understands law enforcement. Ms. White has nearly 25 years of experience in civilian police oversight. She worked her way up from an entry-level job as an intake aide to interim chief administrator. She's worked at every level of Chicago's police accountability system. She has extensive institutional knowledge of COPA and practical expertise in investigating police misconduct. As interim chief administrator, she leads an organization of 140 professionals conducting high-stakes investigations in one of the country's most complex oversight environments. Her colleagues describe her as a phenomenal investigator. She has extensive personal knowledge of what it takes to run a thorough and fair investigation, and she knows the systems and structures you need to help ensure that all investigations are thorough and fair. In her time as interim chief administrator, many of her colleagues credit her with making the office run more effectively, improving consent decree compliance, and transforming the morale at COPA. Ms. White has also worked to ensure that COPA investigators better understand the realities of policing. Under her leadership, investigators have attended law enforcement training, including a focus on split-second decision-making and use of force policies. Her personal journey is also impressive. She started her work in police oversight as an intern. She was a single mother without a college degree. She earned her bachelor's degree, summa cum laude, and an MBA, magna cum laude, while working full-time and raising children. Ms. White has an extraordinary determination and an incredibly strong work ethic. In accordance with MCC 2-80-080, Section B, I move to nominate LaKenya White for the position of Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. I have moved to nominate LaKenya White for the position of Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability and to submit this nomination to City Council. Is there a second? I have moved and Commissioner Driver has seconded to nominate LaKenya White for the position of Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability and to submit this nomination to the City Council. Is there any debate on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of adopting the motion to nominate LaKenya White for the position of Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Congratulations, Interim Chief White, and good luck. Yes, we will now move on to our next item, which is a vote for Commission strategic priorities. Commissioner Piemonte.
Can you hear me? Okay. Now we're going to talk about the work the Commission has been doing since last summer to identify potential priorities that will be used to help guide our work through 2026. The idea is to come up with a short list of high-level objectives that the Commission will focus on throughout the year. The priorities can help guide all of the Commission's work. For example, we have already used the work we've done on priorities to help shape the review we did of the CPD budget last fall, and the goals we'll be setting tonight for the Superintendent, Police Board President, and COPA Chief Administrator. These priorities were informed by what we've heard from the community, recommendations from the district councils that we have received over the years, our duties established within our ordinance, and direct input from everyone on the Commission. Going forward, we'll push to keep the priorities at the center of our work. We'll develop a short list of objectives for each priority, so we'll be clear about what we're trying to achieve. And we'll also develop a timeline for how we want the work to move forward. So we'll have a cleared roadmap for the work. We might create commissioner working groups to focus on each of the priorities, and we'll direct commission staff to focus a significant portion of their time on supporting work on the priorities. We'll also provide regular updates on our work on the priorities at the monthly commission meetings. This is the first time that the Commission has established priorities in this manner, and we're excited to be able to use what we have here as a roadmap both for our work both this year and beyond. We will now share the priority area that will be voted on today, as well as some brief background on why they were chosen. The priority areas that will be presented for a vote today are Strategic Priority 1. The Commission will work to finalize a traffic stops policy and get traffic stops incorporated into the consent decree. The Commission has been working with CPD for over a year to develop a new policy around traffic stops and has been working with CPD, the Office of Attorney General, the Chicago Department of Law, and the Independent Monitoring Team, IMT, to include traffic stops in the consent decree. Traffic stops have long been a source of controversy. Historically, these stops have disproportionately impacted people of color and often failed to yield significant public safety benefits, raising concerns about racial bias and unconstitutional practices. By placing traffic stops under the consent decree's oversight, CPD will be subject to monitoring, judicial review, and community input, ensuring greater transparency, accountability, and adherence to constitutional standards. Strategic Priority 2. The Commission will work to advance preventative, proactive, community-based, and evidence-based approaches to public safety, including approaches that involve people and organizations outside of the police department. Many 911 calls, including some involving mental health crisis, homelessness, or low-level disputes, do not require armed law enforcement officers and may be more effectively handled by specialized community-based professionals who focus on responses that do not involve the use of force. Cities around the country are exploring and advancing ways that people other than the police can respond effectively in those kinds of situations. Focusing on addressing root causes of crime and harm before they occur can help to improve public safety. Proactive measures enable law enforcement and community partners to anticipate challenges and intervene early rather than reaching after incidents occur. Community-based approaches can build trust and collaboration between residents and police, ensuring solutions are community-based. The goal is to shift the focus from short-term enforcement to sustainable public safety. Strategic Priority 3. The Commission will work to enhance the quality, fairness, and consistency of investigations in police misconduct cases by strengthening processes and advocating for better interagency cooperation. Ensuring the quality, fairness, and consistency of investigations in police misconduct cases is critical for maintaining public trust in law enforcement. When misconduct investigations lack consistency or transparency, they risk perpetuating bias, eroding accountability, and undermining confidence in the system. Strengthening investigative processes helps guarantee that misconduct cases are handled objectively and based on evidence rather than external pressures. Furthermore, fostering interagency cooperation is essential as misconduct cases often involve multiple stakeholders. Improved collaboration ensures timely information sharing and promotes uniform standards, ultimately leading to better outcomes.
Thank you, Commissioner Piemonte. Strategic Priority 4, the Commission will advocate for CPD to use best practices to improve clearance rates for crimes with a focus on reducing violent crime. Clearance rates are one way to measure how well the police department solves crimes. They are not a perfect measure and they can be misleading, but they still give us some insight into how well the police department is doing one of its main jobs. Improving clearance rates for violent crime directly impacts public safety and builds community trust. It also helps to strengthen accountability and provide justice for victims. It is important that the Chicago Police Department utilize national best practices in its investigations and evidence collection, as well as prioritize victim services. Strategic Priority 5, the Commission will work to advance best practices in community policing. Community policing is a strategy that works to bring community members and police department together to solve problems and make communities safer. Chicago's diverse neighborhoods face unique challenges that require tailored, community-driven solutions. A strong community policing model empowers officers to work alongside community members to identify and address root causes of crime, reduce tensions, and strengthen relationships. CPD is now working to develop a department-wide community policing strategy. An effective strategy will involve building trust, fostering collaboration between the department and residents, and improving public safety. We need this work to succeed, so the Commission will work in concrete ways to make sure that we have a community policing program with all the ingredients that are necessary for success. Two more, y'all. Strategic Priority 6, the Commission will advocate for comprehensive officer wellness programs and policies that identify and support the mental health and physical well-being of Chicago Police Department members. Policing is a challenging profession, and the department has a responsibility to support officers. When officers struggle, the quality of policing is affected. Comprehensive and effectively utilized wellness programs are important for the mental health of officers. CPD has made significant investment in resources for officer wellness, and ensuring that officers access those services when needed is critical. Additionally, advocating for the improvement and expansion of services supports officers and community members. Strategic Priority 7, the Commission will work with community, the Mayor's Office, City Council, and CPD to strengthen policy and accountability around the police department's interactions with federal immigration enforcement. The Commission will collaborate with various city agencies to strengthen policies, implementation, and accountability around enforcement of the Welcoming City Ordinance. This includes creating clear enforcement mechanisms and identifying best practices. The Commission will also explore whether changes to the welcoming city ordinance or other laws or policies are necessary to increase public safety and strengthen accountability. These are the 7 priorities that will shape much of our work for the next year. To adopt these priorities, we'll vote on each one. We're going to be voting on these as a roll call individually. So we're going to begin with strategic priority area 1. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt strategic priority 1, which is to finalize the traffic stops policy and the traffic stops consent decree stipulation.
Commissioner Minor has, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gottlieb has moved and Commissioner Minor has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 1, which is to finalize a traffic stops policy and traffic stops consent decree stipulation. Is there any debate on the motion?
I have something on this. All right, so I think it's important that the public understand that what was read, these are meeting notes that are written by staff. And so I really want to be clear that nothing that was read should be taken as an official position of the commission. And I say that because I'm really concerned about some of the conclusions that were in some of these summaries. I'm going to support this priority, but I am concerned that we're already asserting that traffic stops don't yield any sort of public safety benefit. Again, that is an opinion, and one that I think we shouldn't assume all commissioners hold. Maybe some do, and that's fine, but I just want that to be clear for the public because yes, it's important that we continue to work on the traffic stops policy, but if we focus on the data, calls for service, actual community needs and interests, I would not suggest that it is a fair conclusion that traffic stops don't yield public safety benefits. So I just want to be careful when we are voting on these that the public understands that what was read is not necessarily why every commissioner is voting for the priority.
Anybody else? All right, we are going to conduct a roll call vote for this motion, so please directly speak clearly into the microphone. Commissioner Driver? Commissioner Gottlieb? Commissioner Minor?
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham? Commissioner Ruby Navarrijo? Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next we'll consider strategic priority number 2. Is there a motion for strategic priority 2?
I move to adopt strategic priority 2, which is to advance preventative, proactive, community-based, and evidence-based approaches to public safety, including approaches that involve people and organizations outside of the police department.
Second.
Commissioner Minor has moved and Commissioner Piemonte has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 2. Is there any debate on the motion?
All right, so I have something on this one as well. Similar to my last remarks, again, I'm going to support this priority because it is consistent with a portion of our ordinance responsibilities. However, again, the conclusions in the summary are concerning to me. I think that there are, of course, benefits to community-based approaches, but I think we should be careful to assume that all people of Chicago want less police response. There are, in fact, people in Chicago who want more police response, who want the police to respond to their calls for service. And I think also the assumption that, quote, low-level calls for service don't need police is a leap without supporting facts. And I think we have to be very careful, though there are people in Chicago who have communicated with this commission, who have expressed a desire to have more police response, more police presence in their community. So I think we just ought not approach this priority with the assumption that we are reducing police involvement, but that we are responding to communities and what communities want. And some communities very much value the response of the Chicago Police Department.
Again, we'll be conducting a roll call vote for this motion, so please speak clearly into the microphone. Commissioner Driver? Commissioner Gottlieb? Commissioner Minor?
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham, Commissioner Ruby Navarro, aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Moving on to strategic priority number 3. Next, we will consider strategic priority 3. Is there a motion?
Strategic priority 3, which is to enhance the quality, fairness, and consistency of investigative outcomes in police misconduct cases by strengthening processes and advocating for better interagency cooperation.
Second.
Commissioner Gottlieb has moved and Commissioner Driver has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 3. Are there any debates on the motion? Hearing none, we'll be moving into a roll call vote. Commissioner Driver, Commissioner Gottlieb, Commissioner Minor, Commissioner Piemonte,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham. Commissioner Ruby Navarro, aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries.
May I ask a clarifying question? Point of order, point of information. Why are we doing roll call votes for every single vote when we can do a voice vote, and if somebody wants to vote nay, they can say that?
The reason why we are conducting it this way is because all the votes weren't unanimous and voice votes are better for unanimous items. The roll call records who supports as transparently as possible. Can somebody remind me what strategic priority we were at?
We're on number 4. I move to adopt strategic priority 4, which is to advocate for best practices to improve clearance rates with a focus on violent crime.
Second.
Commissioner Piemonte has moved and Commissioner Minor has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 4. Is there any debate on the motion? All right, roll call vote once again. Commissioner Driver, Commissioner Gottlieb, Commissioner Minor,
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham, Commissioner Ruby Navarro, aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next, we will consider strategic priority 5. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt strategic priority 5, which is to advance best practices in community policing.
Commissioner Minor has moved and Commissioner Gottlieb has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 5. Is there any debate on the motion? Commissioner Driver,
Hearing none, we'll now move to a vote.
Commissioner Gottlieb, what was that? Oh, I didn't? Okay. Commissioner Gottlieb? Commissioner Minor?
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
It's up to you. Commissioner Wortham? Well, I was waiting for Terry. Commissioner Ruby Navarro, aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next, we will consider strategic priority 6. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt strategic priority 6, which is to advocate for comprehensive officer wellness programs and policies that identify and support the mental health and physical well-being of Chicago Police Department members.
Second. Commissioner Driver has moved and Commissioner Gottlieb has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 6. Is there any debate on the motion? We'll be conducting a roll call vote for this motion. Commissioner Driver.
Aye.
Commissioner Gottlieb.
Aye.
Commissioner Minor.
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte.
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham. Commissioner Ruby Navarro. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Those in favor of, we will consider strategic priority 7. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt strategic priority 7, which is to engage with community, the mayor's office, city council, and CPD to strengthen policy and accountability around Chicago Police Department's interactions with federal immigration enforcement.
Second.
Commissioner Piemonte has moved and Commissioner Minor has seconded the motion to adopt strategic priority area 7. which is to engage with the community, the mayor's office, city council, and CPD to strengthen policy and accountability around CPD's interactions with federal immigration enforcement. Is there any debate on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of adopting a strategic priority 7, we're going to go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Driver?
Aye.
Commissioner Gottlieb? Commissioner Minor?
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham? Commissioner Ruby Navarrijo? Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. With that, we've considered all of the proposed priorities. Thank you for bearing with me. Those priorities that were adopted will be used to guide the commission's work this year and will be posted publicly on the commission's website.
Point of order, Vice President Ruby Navarrijo, you might want to remind the audience about the rules of decorum that you reminded them about at the beginning when they walked in.
Okay.
You-
Well,
do you
thank
wanna
you. Let's
remind
keep comments at a minimum and let's try to finish our meeting. We've got items to go through ahead, please. Thank you. Like I said, we've considered all of our proposed priorities. Those priorities that were adopted will be used to guide the commission's work this year. Next, we will be voting for the goals for the COPA Chief Administrator, the Police Board President, and the CPD Superintendent. Just to be clear, we will also be conducting a roll call vote for the goals. The ordinance that created the commission says that the commission must set goals at the beginning of each year, and then at the end of the year, do a performance assessment where we look at how much progress they made toward meeting the goals we set. The goals typically reflect important priorities of the commission or highlight areas of work the commission wants an agency to focus on for a calendar year. Here's a timeline of where we are in the process. The process started last October when commissioners started work to identify major topics that we wanted to be the focus of the goals for 2026. By ordinance, the superintendent, COPA chief, and police board president do the first draft of the goals, and we wanted to make sure that when they did their drafts, they had guidance about what the commission was looking for. So in October and November, we shared information about the commission's priority topics with CPD, COPA, and the police board. Then on December 1st, the superintendent, the COPA chief, and the police board president all submitted draft goals. During December, commissioners reviewed the draft goals, met with the 3 leaders, and drafted goals that emphasized the commission's priorities. At the end of December, after holding discussions with each agency, the commission gave the superintendent, the chief administrator, and the police board president the commission's proposal for the goals for the next year. CPD, COPA, and the police board then had around 2 weeks to propose changes to what the commission laid out. The commission has taken that input, along with input submitted by the public, to draft final goals, which will be discussed today. The final goals will be available on our website at the beginning of February. After the commission sets the goals, it meets with the CPD superintendent, COPA chief administrator, and police board president at least once every 3 months to discuss progress. Then at the end of the year, the commission does an overall evaluation of how each agency head did over the year. These evaluations are based on standards established in the final goals. We will begin with the goals for the police board. Commissioner Piemonte.
Thank you. Goal 1 is about the Chicago Police Department Code of Conduct. The objective of the goal is to propose revisions and comments that will more clearly and effectively communicate to Chicago police officers and the public how CPD members are required to conduct themselves. By law, the police board has the power to set rules and regulations for the Chicago Police Department. The police board hasn't updated the rules and regulations since 2015. This goal is a continuation of the work undertaken by the police board last year when it began to review the CPD rules and regulations and make recommended changes to make the rules clearer and more modern to reflect the current state of policing. The police board has provided the commission with its initial analysis, and we look forward to reviewing and providing feedback. The police board will also be getting feedback from CPD, its other accountability partners, and the community over the next year. Goal 2 is agency collaboration around policy recommendations. The objective of this goal is to propose to CPD and/or COPA policy recommendations in the areas of investigations and disciplinary recommendations that will improve the process for disciplining police officers. The police board has the power under its ordinance to recommend policy changes for both COPA and the police board. The police board will be looking at past cases to see if there are areas in which it believes both agencies can improve policy and create new policies where none exist. We look forward to updating you all on both goals throughout the year.
Thank you, Commissioner. Goal 2 is agency collaboration around policy recommendations.
I read that.
Are there any questions or comments about the proposed goals? We will now give Police Board President Kyle Cooper 5 minutes to discuss the goals and to indicate whether he accepts and commits to the goals. President Cooper.
Thank you, commissioners, and congratulations to LaKenya White on your nomination to become permanent COPA chief. Well deserved. As you read, my goal for 2026 is a continuation of the work that we started in 2025 to review, revise, and propose amendments to the rules of conduct governing the actions of the Chicago Police Department. You have received our initial draft of revisions, and we look forward to working with the commission as well as the superintendent and other stakeholders, community activist groups, FOP, the mayor's office, and other individuals in the public about ways in which we can strengthen the rules governing the Chicago Police Department so that they reflect the realities of 21st century policing. So that's our first goal for 2026. With respect to the second goal, looking for policy recommendations and changes that the police board could put out. We're looking forward to doing that in 2026. I just want to highlight to those in attendance, both physically and virtually, that 2 of our policy recommendations are going to center on one, cases involving positive drug tests with respect to cannabis involving police officers. Now that cannabis is legal in the state of Illinois, and the fact that it is still prohibited under the Chicago Police Department rules, we've had a interesting and I want to say a tough time, frankly, as a board trying to figure out what the best disciplinary outcomes are for officers who do test positive for cannabis. So that's something that we're going to spend some time thinking about for 2026. We also look forward to putting forward a policy recommendation with respect to residency cases. We've had a number of cases in 2025 involving investigations regarding officers who were accused of not living within the city limits. And we've noticed that there's, I think, a variety of ways in which we can make sure that the investigatory process and the rules regarding the residency requirements are made more clear to the officers and how that is investigated. So that I just want to preview that to the commission as 2 of the policy goals that we look forward to addressing in 2026. I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, so that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you so much, President Cooper.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the proposed goals for the police board president?
In accordance with MCC 2-80-050, Section E, I move to adopt the 2026 goals for the police board president and deliver them to the president of the police board.
Commissioner Piemonte has moved to adopt 2026 goals for the president of the police board and deliver them to the president. Do we have a second? Second. Commissioner Piemonte has moved to adopt the 2026 goals for the president of the police board and deliver them to the president. Commissioner Gottlieb has seconded. Is there any debate on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Driver? Aye. Commissioner Gottlieb? Aye. Commissioner Minor? Aye. Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham? Aye. Commissioner Ruby Navarrijo? Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. The goals will be sent to the police board and the President Cooper.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you.
Point of information, are the leaders of each department supposed to indicate whether they accept the goals or not? Did I miss that part?
Yes, they are supposed to accept the goals. Thank you for that point of information.
Thank you, Commissioner Driver. I accept the goals for 2026 and look forward to fulfilling them.
Thank you, President Cooper. Thank you, Commissioner Driver.
We will next discuss the goals for the COPA Chief Administrator. Goal 1 is about improving disciplinary recommendations. The objective is the goal of the goals to implement disciplinary consistency guideline COPA-wide. The community, members of law enforcement, and the consent decree monitor have found that some COPA disciplinary recommendations are inconsistent. COPA might find that 2 different police officers committed the same misconduct, but COPA still recommends different discipline for each officer. That's a significant problem. Consistency in disciplinary recommendations ensures fairness, transparency, and public trust in the system. When similar violations result in vastly different consequences, it creates perceptions of bias, undermining confidence in oversight processes. A consistent approach provides clear expectations for officers, reinforces standards of conduct, and demonstrates that accountability is applied uniformly across the department. This not only strengthens internal integrity, but also reassures the community that disciplinary decisions are objective and aligned with established policies, fostering trust between law enforcement and the public. So that's goal 1. Goal 2 is community engagement. The objective of this goal is the establishment of a community advisory committee. The purpose of this committee is to help advise on COPA policy. Community input can help strengthen police accountability by ensuring that policies reflect the values and expectations of the community. This collaboration promotes transparency, gives residents a voice, and helps to build trust and legitimacy in the accountability process. COPA will work to add diverse perspectives to this committee, and the process of selecting this committee will be made public. The third and final goal is to increase public trust and consent decree compliance. The objective of this goal is to provide a cadre of community mediators who will serve as neutrals for the community mediation program pilot. Goal 3 is a continuation of last year's goal, which created a working group with district counselors to get community feedback to help shape and implement COPA's mediation policy and program. The district counselors who worked with COPA and the commission on this project provided valuable advice and guidance that helped to finalize an important policy. At the end of the year, the district counselors worked with COPA to identify members of the community that could help select mediators. This year, that selection committee will help to select individuals from the community to serve as mediators. This project is a perfect example of the importance of working closely with district counselors to engage the community and shape important work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions or comments from the commission on the proposed goals? Thank you. We will now give Interim Chief White 5 minutes to discuss the goals and to indicate whether she accepts and commits to the goals. And this time, I'll let you either say yes or no. Interim Chief White, thank you.
Okay, I got a little speech for you first. So, thank you to the members of the commission staff, particularly Commissioners Gottlieb and Pimonti, who worked closely. Mic check. Hello, hello. Thank you. Testing. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna start over. So, thank you to the members of the commission staff, particularly Commissioners Gottlieb and Pimonti, who we work closely with. I thank you. And to the members of my COPA staff on the development of COPA's 2026 goals. When we began our internal goal setting discussions last year, we knew our guiding priority needed to be strengthening public trust in the accountability process. While we have made meaningful progress in building that trust, year over year, there is still important work ahead. These goals, while each addressing a distinct area, collectively aim to further increase public confidence through multiple avenues. We are especially encouraged that many of these goals emphasize cross-collaboration between entities. For example, the mediation program has benefited from significant input from district counselors who play a vital role in understanding the unique dynamics of each police district. In addition, our goal related to the Community Advisory Committee will ensure we engage a broad and diverse group of stakeholders whose perspectives will help inform and strengthen COPA's policies and practices. Finally, while the goal-setting process involved healthy debate and differing perspectives, I want to thank the Commission and its staff for being committed and constructive partners throughout. While each of our entities has distinct oversight responsibilities, we share the same purpose: making Chicago a city that works for all its residents. So with that being said, the goals are accepted. Now, I do want to thank you guys for believing in me in this process, for believing in me to take this agency on. This is something I don't take lightly. I've been a public servant for the last 27 years, and 25 of them have been in police accountability. I love the work that I do. If they need me out there, I'm gonna do the work. If I need to take an interview, if I need to knock on doors, you will see me. But I love this work. To the members of the public, including the Chicago Police Department, I promise one thing, well, a couple, but one is to be fair. The second is to be real. I'm not here for public comment or political views, public opinion. I'm here to do the work. And that's what I care about, is the work. I care about bridging the gap between the community and the police. Oftentimes, we are looked at just as an accountability agency. We are involved in public safety as well. We have a duty, and that's to be impactful. And that's what I plan to do. To my staff, I love y'all deep. And I thank you for the work that you put in each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Interim Chief White. Is there a motion on the proposed goals for the COPA chief?
Yes, in accordance with MCC 280050E, I move to adopt the 2026 goals for the COPA Chief Administrator and deliver them to the COPA Chief.
Commissioner Gottlieb has moved to adopt the 2026 goals for the Chief Administrator of COPA and deliver them to the COPA chief. Do we have a second? Commissioner Gottlieb has moved to adopt the 2026 goals for the COPA chief and deliver them to the COPA chief. Commissioner Piemonte has seconded. Is there any debate on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. It'll be a roll call vote. Commissioner Driver? Aye. Commissioner Gottlieb? Aye. Commissioner Minor? Aye. Commissioner Piemonte?
Aye.
Commissioner Terry?
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham? Aye. Commissioner Ruby Navarijo? Aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The 2026 goals for COPA Chief Administrator have been adopted and will be delivered. CPD Superintendent goals are next. We will finish with the goals for the Police Superintendent, Commissioners Driver, and Minor. Thank you.
First, we'd like to thank Superintendent Snelling and his team for their collaboration during this goal-setting process. In November, We sent the superintendent a guiding document that highlighted goal topic areas that align generally with the commissioner's interests and strategic priorities and met once with the superintendent and his team to discuss those goal topic areas. We received the superintendent's 2026 goals in early December and have since met twice with the superintendent and his team to discuss his proposed goals for the department and to share feedback on those goals from our fellow commissioners and some district counselors. In 2026, we have 4 goals for the superintendent. These goals focus on advancing CPD's consent decree compliance, improving public safety outcomes, and addressing public trust through accountability and transparency. The first goal is about CPD's work strengthening its investigation process. In 2024, the commission had a goal focused on investigations. It included increasing the number of people who work on investigations in CPD's Bureau of Detectives and conducting a needs assessment of CPD's forensic services infrastructure to get a better understanding of what CPD needed to better analyze evidence to solve crimes. This year goals builds on that work in 2 ways. The first objective will work to inform the public on how clearance rates work, how investigations work, and how to assist with a case, and how and where to report crimes. The second objective will work to strengthen how CPD collects and analyzes evidence to solve crimes, including by adding staff, improving training, and using better technology. The second goal is the implementation of CPD's community policing assessment. This is a part of a large-scale effort to um, overhaul CPD's approach to community policing and to structure things at CPD so that more officers can spend more time building relationship with community members and working with them to solve problems and increase public safety. In 2024 and 2025, the superintendent committed to completing a community policing assessment of the department and developing an implementation plan based on that assessment. For this year, the superintendent has committed to discussing recommendations and developing an implementation plan based on forthcoming community policing assessments that identify collaboration opportunities between CPD, the district counselors, and the commissions on community policing efforts. Commissioner Driver.
It's all good. I can be president again. Can y'all hear me? There we go. The third goal focuses on CPD's role in supporting the city's care program. In recent years, Chicago has been piloting a crisis assistance response and engagement program that works to ensure that individuals who call 911 while experiencing a mental health crisis are assisted by teams of behavioral health professionals who can provide things like de-escalation, mental health assessment, referrals to community services, and transportation to community-based destinations as appropriate. CARE currently operates out of 7 of the 22 police districts, but the mayor's office is looking to expand the CARE program citywide. For 2026, the superintendent has pledged to ensure that CPD representatives consistently and actively participate in the mayor's CARE working group and any other relevant meetings to ensure efficient collaboration across interagency partners. CPD's participation can help to ensure that as the CARE program expands citywide, all the relevant city departments are cooperating and collaborating to help make expansion a success. The fourth goal is about understanding and being more transparent with data about CPD's use of force and firearm pointing. That would allow the commission to act to address potential issues based on the evidence. At a November 2025 hearing on the city's consent decree progress, the Office of the Attorney General noted that CPD's use of deadly force has increased from 2022 to 2024 and that CPD has been pointing guns at community members more often. Additionally, in 2025, a CPD analysis found increases in the number of reports of use of force incidents and firearm pointing incidents. There are questions and concerns about what has caused these reported increases. The consent decree requires CPD to analyze the data and, if necessary, make changes to policy, practice, and training in order to address the apparent increases in use of force and firearm pointing. Under this goal, there will be more transparency as CPD does their work. That will provide more opportunity for the Commission to support consent decree compliance and help reduce improper use of force. Again, we thank Superintendent Snelling and his team for their collaboration in the goal-setting process, and we look forward to working with CPD over the next year as they progress in its crucial goal areas.
Thank you, commissioners. Are there any questions or comments from the commission on the proposed goals?
Yeah, I have something. So this is a comment that's applicable to all three agencies, but became particularly troubling for me as it relates to CPD. So my hope is that moving forward as a commission, we will have a more transparent, inclusive goals process. In practice, what happens is the staff of this commission call these commissioners and me and say, hey, what do you think about goals? The only information that gets to these agencies is the information that has 4 or more commissioners supporting it. Now, that sounds like democracy, but for the fact that we don't do that in public. So, in essence, the goals that end up presented for all 3 agencies, but again, particularly troubling for CPD with what we've come up with this year, or what the commission has come up with this year, is that CPD is never CPD or any of the agencies are never given the benefit of hearing from the diverse perspectives of all commissioners. So my hope is, moving forward next year, we will start this process earlier, do public deliberation so that the agencies can actually hear that all commissioners don't think the same way. That becomes particularly troubling for a reason. We had Superintendent Snelling and the rest of the agencies out in December. We talked about goals. Yesterday, 4 commissioners decided they wanted to eliminate a goal. And so that goal is eliminated. That's not transparency. That's not democracy. It won't come as a surprise that I wasn't one of those 4 commissioners. It happened to be a goal I really supported. It happened to be a goal I believe to be really beneficial and collaborative with COPA and for the community. And that's all of a sudden gone because 4 commissioners told staff members they don't like it, and 4 is a majority of 7, and now it's gone. I have very serious concerns about 2 of these goals. I suggested to the same commissioners that we vote on these goals as individual items. That wasn't supported. So really, if I vote for this package, I'm voting under duress because I want to support the goals I support, but because we have not employed an inclusive, transparent, democratic process for our goals, I can either vote for none of them or vote for 2 goals I have serious problems with and we haven't had public deliberation on. I have a serious issue with the CARES goal. CPD is not a part of the CARES program, but we're going to make it a year-long goal that they must participate in case they become a part of it. That seems like not a good use of CPD's time or our goal space. Similarly, the force and firearm goal. Yesterday, one of the goals that was eliminated because 4 commissioners said, well, it's just a public information campaign. That's not important. If you listen to what was just read, because we do not have authority over things that are monitored and monitored by the consent decree, really, this is a public information campaign, this firearm pointing goal. But because 4 people told staff members that that's what they want the CPD to focus on, now that's a goal for the entire commission based on assumptions without actually having first done the work to figure out the reason for the increase in firearm pointing. And I'm very concerned that that becomes the work of, quote, the commission without public deliberation, without CPD having had the benefit of diverse commissioner perspectives, because frankly, if you're in the minority on this commission right now, your perspectives never get to these agencies. And that is a problem for an agency, for a commission that requires transparency from the agencies we oversee. So it's really my hope moving forward. I want to support this package, and I probably will, but again, it'll be under duress with my objection to those 2 goals. And I hope that next year we'll do this in a way that brings us to meet the same standard of transparency we have for the agencies we oversee.
I have a comment that's unrelated to this, and so I would like to have some time on the program to be able to speak to the comment that I have. But I do want to acknowledge Commissioner Worthen's comment. I would like to speak to the goal that was erased. That goal was for a working group that had no defined scope, that had no defined meeting cadence, actually the only thing that was defined was the meeting cadence. And while we still believe that the level of collaboration or the substance of the goal or the heart of the goal or the spirit of the goal was important, I think it is very important for us to be very clear about what we're committing to community. And unfortunately, that goal was not there yet. More than that, I also think that it's important before us as commissioners get on a working group that we as a commission have clear scopes and knows how we're going to work within that group. And and what is our defined power with that group, right? We had no clear structure on what the final recommendation will be, what our powers would be. All of those things have to be fleshed out before we present it to community. I still think that the substance of the goal or the topic of the goal is a matter of importance and it's incorporated in our strategic priority. So I just want to uplift that the work does not end for that particular goal that was proposed with the goal itself. And I just wanted to highlight that background so you all have some context.
Yeah, I want to comment. I can't tell if you all can hear me or not. You can? Okay. I wanted to comment about the point of this being undemocratic, and make sure that the public is aware of um, the rules that we're operating under. The Open Meetings Act, as many district council members can probably attest to, is very burdensome. I cannot pick up the phone and call two commissioners. The moment more than one commissioner picks up the phone, we're conducting city business, and it is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I wish, like hell, I didn't have to run everything through staff. It is the most frustrating and annoying thing in the world. However, given that I cannot pick up the phone and call two commissioners because the moment there's more than two, we're violating the law, we have no choice but to run things through staff. It's very cumbersome, it's very burdensome. So, with this process, I do believe that this is a democratic process. If it's seven commissioners and four are pushing something forward, that is the will of the body. That is the only thing that we have to operate on. We don't have a better way to do this. Also, with the makeup of this body, this is a stipend unpaid position. Each of us gets $1,000 a month. It takes 20, 30 hours usually from a commissioner, not some monthly, some weekly. And if you're in the president or vice president role, you're putting in a lot more hours. But I say that to say each of us has full-time jobs. So we can't just deliberate in private. We have to be able to use the staff that we have to pass messages on. We're working with the tools that we have. We need to either try to fix the Open Meetings Act or ask the city council to find a workaround, but it is literally impossible for us to have those sorts of deliberations. When you heard us authorize those series of closed meetings, those are for very specific things. Things like considering what I hope to be Chief LaKenya White, right? That is allowable, considering those sorts of things. But we can't just have a closed meeting that's not accessible to the public to deliberate. So I will push back and say that this is a democratic process, and we are doing the best that we can with the tools that we have.
So I'm just going to respond to that and say
Actually, I have to speak for the record. Commissioner Wortham, Commissioner Minor, and Commissioner Driver have all made comments. Commissioner Wortham.
Okay, thanks. So I'm just going to respond to that. I don't disagree about the Open Meetings Act. I'm well versed in understanding of the Open Meetings Act and its restrictions, frankly. And you're right. We do a lot of work for a stipended position, but it is what it is. If we're going to do the position and we're going to do it right, then I agree. The ordinance leaves a lot to be desired, and maybe it needs to be amended so that we can have the public deliberation. But to say we're subject to the OMA, so we have to run things through staff, so we don't have the public deliberation, I mean, a lot of bad things equal a bad thing. And to me, it's democratic if it's public. But to do this all through staff, and then we come here and we say, these are the commission goals. And a person who didn't understand the process would be like, oh, seven people really agree with these goals. Well, I just don't think that's fair to the spirit of diversity of perspective for the public to not understand that just because this is what comes out doesn't mean all seven of us agree. I don't disagree with you about the limitations. I have a job too, but if we're going to do this, then maybe one of our tasks needs to be suggesting to city council that they open the ordinance and get it right so that we can actually work as a democratic, transparent, publicly deliberating body.
Commissioner Minor, and then we're going to move on to the vote.
Thank you so much, Chair, for recognizing me. I actually want to transition into something else, another comment that I prepared. I'm grateful, though, that we're having this conversation because I will say that this current goals process is something that needs some more refinement, and I'm very grateful for our leadership and for the closed session that we have authorized at the beginning of the meeting so that we can have more internal discussions about some of the tensions and the quirks that were identified in this current process. Moreover, I just want to uplift that I'm deeply disheartened that victim services will not be included in this year's goals. I really want to highlight that I've been able to have several community members reach out to me within the last 14 days regarding navigating, CPD's victim services process, as well as applying for resources for the city for victims. I also want to really uplift and tell their stories, because I believe that it is very important for you all to understand how critical this position is and the kinds of conversations that community comes to us with. As Commissioner Driver uplifted, this can be a 20 to 30-hour role, but especially if you're out in community and you're taking it serious, it's a lot more, because folks have serious concerns that they want addressed by us. I had a community member who first told me that they needed support finding funds to support their loved one that just died due to gun violence. I had another community member call to me and tell me about a family member that they just lost, their father, who was an elderly man who essentially went missing for 3 days. They live in the suburbs, but he was later found 3 days later in the north side of Chicago, dead. Unfortunately, they told both the suburban police where they lived in and CPD about their father. And unfortunately, when they had engagements with some of the detectives in the space and they asked what steps that they committed to them that they took in to find the father, they were dismissed from the district. I had another community member who also faced dismissal when they had recently lost their cousin to gun violence, and they went to their detectives to ask for an update on the case. And unfortunately, the detective did not give them the information that they were requesting and then dismissed the family. The goals process is so essential to our work because it allows us to have quarterly meetings with the superintendent and other leaderships of CPD to uplift stories like this. And we can work proactively with a shared understanding that this is something that we both are committed to working on, and get answers and get resources to community members. And unfortunately, when we take these opportunities away from commissioners to have those discussions, we now have an extra layer of bureaucratic hurdles and emails that we now have to send to these other department members in order to get answers from community members. And that is not right. I believe that it is super important that the commission takes victim services seriously. And I also will call on the commission to have a hearing on victim services so community members can understand about the new funds that was created on the county, in the city, in the state level as it relates to victim services. I also believe that it's important that we also, during that time, we talk about pretrial justice as well, because there has been a major overhaul in the state as it relates to pretrial justice and victim services. I think that this is extremely critical time, as CPD has just onboarded over 33 members to their victim services department and has created a new family liaison office. And I'm actually very excited for all of the productive work that CPD has been doing as it relates to victim services. And I think that it still needs to be at the forefront of conversations with the commission. So thank you so much for allowing me to have some time to speak up about my grievances, and I look forward to cooperative solutions.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Superintendent, I didn't forget about you. We will now give the superintendent. I went straight to votes my first time chairing the meeting. Don't worry about it. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to discuss the goals of process and to indicate whether he accepts and commits to the goals. Superintendent's now.
Good evening. And first of all, thank you, Vice President. I knew you wouldn't forget about me. Just want to touch on a few things, and I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. First off, I just want to thank the commission. A lively debate is always good, especially when we're doing this type of work. We shouldn't always agree on everything. That's how we get to the bottom of things. For Commissioner Minor, thank you for bringing up victim services. That's been extremely important to us. We've gotten a lot of work done around victim services, and it's one of the reasons that we've seen historic clearance rates in 2025 as a result of that, by reaching out a little more and having people reach back. So that's been extremely important. I'm going to move forward a little bit, and then I'll come back to talk about someone who I think is well deserving of a nomination. First of all, to the first three goals, I accept. And I want to keep this short because I don't want to be redundant. We've already talked about what's in those goals. I want to make clear that goal number 4, as it relates to use of force and pointing incidents, in December, I talked about what we're doing around those pointing incidents. And we will absolutely report out on uses of force. We will make sure that we have those reports available to the commission and to the public. I do believe in transparency, but we do have further conversation because we've had this conversation about some of the language around the goal, and I look forward to continuing that conversation. We just want to make sure that everything that we're doing falls within the guidelines of the consent decree, so we want to continue to do that. However, I do want to say one thing as it relates to use of force. When we come up with a goal, one of the things that I believe in, especially coming from a training background, we don't want to throw something together. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing is comprehensive. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing is going to be effective moving forward. And we want to make sure that there's something in it for everyone, especially our officers who go out there and face these things every day. We want to make sure that our officers are prepared to go out and deal with these situations in the most constitutional, respectful manner possible. So with that, I accept goal number 4. You know, in 2025, we saw historic lows in crime, especially violent crime across the board. Low numbers that date back to the 60s, but we still have work to do. And it's like the work that we're doing in the department when it comes to the consent decree, when it comes to reform, we still have work to do. Because someone once asked me, you know, how many homicides would be an acceptable amount? The number is 0. It was one of the dumbest questions I've ever been asked. Hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. Our dashboard will be available for everyone. I would encourage everyone to go to our website where you can see where we launched a dedicated page for de-escalation response and resistance to use of force. This should help educate the public on what it is that police officers do. And I think there's been a lack of education across the board as it relates to the public and the information and communication coming not only from the Chicago Police Department, but I think from the city of Chicago as a whole. We have to work a lot harder to get that done. I'd like to first address our new nominee as COPA Chief, LaKenya White. I've known LaKenya White through work for almost 2 decades now, and I can tell you she's extremely hardworking, extremely professional, and prepared to do the job. And so congratulations on your nomination. You know, with this type of work, when you're in this city, I can't tell you the importance of being a resident of this city, having grown up here, having grown up in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if, I'm sure you're a resident of the South Side now. I don't know if it's always been that way. But growing up on the South Side for myself, you know, seeing people who are impoverished, growing up in neighborhoods where we've seen people suffer. We know what people have gone through. We know the history of the city, and that's across the board. And I can tell you this right now, 34 years of doing this job, I've seen some change, and I've seen a lot of change. It doesn't mean that we take our foot off the gas. We continue to move forward and do what's right. Working with our new nominee, she has always been fair, but she's always been firm on her decision making. We don't agree on everything, I can tell you that right now, and that is absolutely healthy. We shouldn't. We should have this back and forth. We should have these conversations so that we get to the best possible outcome. And to everyone who came here and had your comments, I've heard them. I learn something every time I come to one of these meetings. It's extremely important that if we talk about things, that there's a respectful discourse. And as long as we are communicating with each other, I think we can find some common ground, even if we disagree. And trust me, we're not always going to agree on everything. But I will tell you this. To LaKenya White, congratulations, well deserved. And I know, and I feel it in my soul that you will be confirmed and you will do an excellent job serving this city and the residents of this city. To my Chicago police officers, going out there every single day, working, being screamed at, being yelled at, seeing people at their worst, seeing people who have been seriously harmed and broken. And then you go home and you have to look at your own families, and you get up and you go back to work and you do it all over again. Thank you for that work that you do. There are things that the general public don't necessarily see that you do all the time. I see it, I know it. And you do great work out there trying to keep our residents safe. Lastly, for our Chicago police officers and myself, the number one thing that I am concerned about, it's not about politics. Because when you think about politics, you start to inject your opinion on things. I think about life. I think about human beings and the safety of people. That's our number one concern. And we want to make sure that people are safe in this city. And we're going to continue to do that work as we move forward. So as we hear the voices of the public, we will always take everything that you say into consideration. But I promise you, moving forward, I'm going to do a much better job of educating the public on what needs to be done to make sure that our residents are safe here in the city of Chicago. With that, I want to say thank you to the commission. Thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you to the Chicago Police Department. And thank you for all of your voices.
Thank you, Superintendent Snelling. Is there a motion on the proposed goals for the superintendent?
Hello, thank you. In accordance with MCC 280050 I move to adopt the 2026 goals for the CPD superintendent and deliver them to the superintendent.
Commissioner Minor has moved to adopt the 2026 goals for the CPD superintendent and deliver them to the superintendent. Do we have a second? Commissioner Minor has moved to adopt the 2026 goals for the CPD superintendent. Commissioner Piemonte has seconded. Is there any debate on the motion? Commissioner Gottlieb?
Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Ruby Navarro. I want to talk briefly about the use of force in firearm pointing goal and why it is important, because we've heard a number of things today. I think everyone should be curious about why last year there were roughly 10,000 incidents of force and or firearm pointing if you add them together, because they are not considered the same thing. I think that's something we should all be curious about. We've heard various explanations publicly, even in December, for instance, that it's due to better reporting. That very well may be true. We've also heard things like the increase in force against youth is because of things like teen takeovers. That may be true, but we should all actually be curious about whether this is true. And that's what the point of this goal is. It's to actually get the information so that statements are not made publicly without clear evidence that the public can use to actually determine if the statements are true or not. So that's the point of this goal. It seems incredibly important to me, and yeah, just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that there was going to be a closing remarks about one of my goals, and I want to make this clear. And it seems that the suggestion is that we're lying, and I want to make clear to everyone here that everything that you can find is on our dashboard. I want to be extremely clear that nothing that I say up here is a lie. And when I told you this in December, it's on our dashboard. Now, one of the things that I understand is this. When it comes to the Chicago Police Department, there's always going to be this trust factor. And no matter what we say sometimes, people are not going to believe it. This is why I was in agreement with COPA taking the investigations as it relates to ICE. Why? Because right now, BIA is doing that work. So the question is, would anybody in here believe that it's a fair investigation if the Bureau of Internal Affairs is doing that work? I would think not. So I believe that there should be an outside body doing that work. There's the credibility that would come. So I believe in one thing. When we find something wrong, we work on it and we fix it. And as I told you in December, our pointing incidents are up. They are. And what I've told you is I've assigned our captains to figure out why that is. Our captains are working directly with our officers to make sure that we work toward bringing that down and making sure that our officers are following the Constitution and not doing damage to the image of the Chicago Police Department and bringing down those levels of public trust. So if we're going to talk about these things, let's talk about them in a respectful manner that doesn't sound like we just choose to lie. This is why we have a dashboard. This is why in this department, you're seeing more transparency than you've ever seen in the history of the Chicago Police Department. I know the history of the Chicago Police Department. I know it. And because I know it, I believe that I'm capable of making sure that we work toward doing a much better job of how we deal with the public and building those levels of trust. So if we're going to do this work, we need to do it together. If we're going to take a stance, let's have a conversation about it. Let's have a discussion. What I don't want to do is throw accusations around. I want to do the work and get it done. So this isn't about politics for me. I do not dabble in politics. This is about getting a job done and making sure that we're building that trust between our community members and our police officers so that we continue to drive crime down, so that we can continue to make sure that our residents feel safe. That's what's important moving forward. So when we have these conversations, please, let's have these conversations, not only behind closed doors, but openly. Because we have sat, and I've sat with the commission, and we just had a meeting. We had several meetings. And I believe that those things were fruitful, and I believe that we can continue to do so. But if this is an issue that we want to talk about, let's talk about that issue and let's spend some time getting it done. I told you this in December. I'm willing to have those conversations with you at any given time, Commissioner Gottlieb. We will get this done. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't look like we are showing up and pretending like something is happening that's not.
Excuse me. Thank you, Superintendent. We're going to go with Commissioner Wortham, and we're going to move forward.
Yeah, Superintendent, before you leave, just based on something you just said in response to Commissioner Gottlieb, I just want to make sure the record's clear. So you're looking into it. Same argument when we talk about traffic stops. Am I correct? I'll ask it this way. Am I correct to understand that the goal is not looking into it to say we want to get the incidents of firearm pointing down, but to understand why they're up? And if there's something wrong, then of course we'll address that. But you can't presuppose that they need to go down before we figure out why they're up. Is that correct?
Well, this is the reason why I have captains who are directly engaged with officers in the district. So before we had our TREAD unit reviewing firearm pointing incidents, those incidents could sit there for periods of time without being looked at, investigated. It takes a while to get to those. In the districts, our captains can immediately address these issues and find out if there are some issues with the pointing incidents. And if and when we find those issues, there will be more training, more supervision around these incidents.
Right. I guess my point is just the if is what's important, because you don't know until you look. So
You're correct.
If you look and they were all justified pointing incidents, then it's not we need the numbers down, it's here's why the numbers are up. And I just think that's an important distinction in setting the course for what the work is.
Well, that's correct. And this is why we need to have more explanations around what's happening. What we're doing right now is we're looking at data in just simple numbers. And until you open those things up and break those numbers down and see what's happening inside, you'll never know why those numbers are up or down.
Okay, Commissioner Gottlieb, thank you, Superintendent.
Yeah, the goal was written exactly as Commissioner Wortham is saying, that there's no presupposition either way. The point is to figure out why.
So Commissioner Minor did move to adopt the 2026 goals for CPD superintendent and deliver them. Commissioner Piemonte, I believe, was that? Yeah, Commissioner Piemonte has seconded. We will be moving on and call for this vote. We'll be conducting a roll call vote for this motion. Commissioner Driver, Commissioner Gottlieb, Commissioner Minor,
Aye.
Commissioner Piemonte,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry,
Aye.
Commissioner Wortham, Commissioner Ruby Navarrijo. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. The 2026 goals for CPD superintendent have been adopted and will be delivered. Thank you. Our next order of business will be reports and updates. We will begin with an update regarding traffic stops. Commissioner Wortham.
All right. Good evening. All right. The commission continues to work on traffic stops policy with CPD, as discussed in previous meetings about a year ago, or a little more than a year ago now. The independent monitor and the consent decree between the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois focused on the Chicago Police Department. We're going to just skip that. Listen, little over a year ago, it was recommended that traffic stops be added into the consent decree. As many of you know, the CPD policy working group, which includes President Terry and I, and working with our colleagues on the commission, have been working with CPD, the Illinois Attorney General's office, the independent monitor, to come up with an agreement about adding traffic stop policies to the consent decree. If they're added to the consent decree, of course, they would be monitored pursuant to the consent decree. If traffic stops are not added to the consent decree, then we would have, the commission would retain its normal policy-making authority. We are working on a draft stipulation, and I think this is my most important thing that I say every month on this. These meetings are happening, the work is ongoing. I'd really encourage the community, all perspectives in the community, to continue reaching out with your feedback on traffic stops policy, on your thoughts about how the Chicago Police Department should or should not be able to conduct traffic stops. We are still taking public input, as we are a public body who should be responsive to all perspectives in the city of Chicago. So please continue to give us your feedback, and we'll continue to update you on traffic stops policy.
Thank you. Next, we will have an update regarding CPD ICE interactions with federal immigration enforcement agencies like ICE and Customs and Border Protection. The commission held a special meeting on January 8th, 2026. Many community members came out to express their concerns. Commissioners are engaged in the next steps. This will be a topic on our agenda at the commission's February meeting. We will invite CPD, OIG, COPA, and we are working with the district counselors to figure out who else we would like to be on this panel. 6 of 7 commissioners signed a letter supporting a city council ordinance that would give COPA clear authority to investigate incidents where police officers may have violated the welcoming city ordinance or related police department policies. Are there any questions from the commission?
I just have one thing on this, Vice President Ruby Navarrijo. So the Vice President just gave a review of the January 8th meeting. I feel very compelled to say I am very concerned that this commission has not spoken about the very egregious behavior that was displayed at that meeting. We recognize that people are going through various issues of trauma in this city. Trauma abounds, unfortunately. I completely understand that. But we sat in that meeting for over 2 hours and condoned, frankly, a repeated violation of every single bylaw we have almost. And it is very important to me that we as a commission make clear to the public, not just the people who come to our meetings, because largely it's the same people. I mean, you're welcome. That's wonderful. Please keep coming. But my concern is that we don't hear diverse perspectives at our meeting. And from what I have heard from community members, a lot of the reason for that is because of some of the behavior we allow at our meetings. That was not a safe space for diverse opinions. We sat here for over 2 hours while people cursed us out, screamed at us, said all kinds of vile, violent things, and nothing was done about it. That is not appropriate for a public body, not because it hurts my feelings, but because the people watching, the people who saw the news clips, who will never come to one of our meetings because they watched that, we serve them too. We serve everyone in this city. So, to condone an environment where you have to have one opinion to be welcome, to be comfortable, to feel safe is not appropriate. And I think that had to be said. I had to say it because we have heard from community members. This commission has heard from community members who have told us that they felt that was an unsafe environment, that they were disappointed that we allowed the violation of our own bylaws. I want to hear from everybody about your trauma, about your concerns, about what you'd like the commission to do, but I want to hear it in a respectful way. Because if we allowed every constituency who was experiencing a particular trauma in this city to come to our meetings and behave in that way, we'd never get anything done. And we're going to continue to have the same perspectives represented at our meetings because people are not going to feel safe. And I think we have to hold ourselves to adherence to our bylaws if we want to be seen as a legitimate body to all Chicagoans.
Commissioner Wortham, thank you. It'll be Commissioner Minor, then followed by Commissioner Driver.
I actually have a point of clarification for the report that came right before this on our traffic stop policy. First, I would like to ask, is there anyone in the audience who this is their first commission meeting? If so, can you raise your hand? Thank you. Wow, it's a pretty significant amount of us. My point of clarification is why was it excluded that the commission is working with CPD, the Illinois Attorney General's office, and the independent monitor to establish an agreement on traffic stop policies during the report?
Okay, well, actually, I said that part. And as you've asked me this question at other meetings, and as I said earlier, these are meeting notes written by staff. I am not bound to read these. If you feel most comfortable reading during your reports, I'd encourage you to keep doing that. I don't feel most comfortable reading other people's words. So I give the reports based on my information from the work group. I actually said that part though. So if there's something that you're unclear about, I'd be happy to answer a question, but you keep asking me why I don't read the meeting notes because I don't have to read notes written by other people.
Driver, Commissioner Driver, Commissioner Minor. Please, can we move? Let's allow the commission to deliberate. I appreciate it.
I just want to uplift and respond to the last point, and the reason why I continue to make points of clarification as it relates to our meeting notes. I think that is very important that we're transparently updating community, and also we all as commissioners have an opportunity to provide edits to any of our speaker notes. So if you want to customize those speaker notes, that is perfectly fine. But I think that it's very important that we are giving community members clear and up-to-date current updates as it relates to some of the things that's happening behind closed doors as it relates to traffic stop policy, because it's a matter of public safety and public interest. And what I heard from your report is that a year ago we started the conversation, and then that second piece was currently we're working with these stakeholders. And I think that that's very important to be clear and to make sure that that is uplifted to community members.
Commissioner Driver.
So I'll be really brief because I initially felt the same way that you did at that meeting. It was somebody like in the balcony who said something about shooting us, and it was frustrating to me at first. But as I like calmed down, left that meeting, took the time to reflect, and took the time to think about what's happening. Nothing about what's happening in our city and in this country is normal. None of it. I have personally, I'm from back of the yards. I was there when ICE agents ran into the Swaparama. I was down the street and I didn't know what was happening. Nothing about this is normal. And so as I took the time to reflect about it, I became more calm and I understand like shit is real right now. And I've been on the other side of those meetings before where I felt the need. to express myself in that manner because the public body wasn't responding to me. A lot of that is what created this commission. And so I do respect my fellow commissioners' opinion and about feeling unsafe. But I would just say I think it's just a moment right now where there's a lot of people in our city who are actually unsafe. And I think it's incumbent upon us to be reflective about that. This is very, very, very strange times. And I didn't like a lot of what I heard until I took a moment to sort of get out of my feelings and digest it and understand that, Dr. King says that a riot is the language of the unheard. I think that was a riot, but I do think that was a lot of people who were unheard and they wanted to make their voices known. And so while I do encourage respectful dialogue, I also understand the community's need to hold this body accountable.
Thank you, Commissioner Driver.
I just have to.
We're gonna move on.
He was
We're going
responding to
to.
me. I'm allowed to respond.
Yeah, he was just making a comment. I think we've spoken enough about
So
right now.
I'm not allowed to speak in response.
I'm not saying that. It's just we have a schedule and we have a press conference after this, and so we want to be. Thank you. All righty. Now we will move on to adjournment. To connect with the commission via social media, you can find us at facebook.com/Chicago CCPSA/ or search Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability on Facebook. Instagram is CCPSA_Chicago. Twitter, CCPSA_Chicago. YouTube at Chicago CCPSA. The commission's next regular meeting will be Thursday, February 26th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Right now, the meeting is scheduled at Hubbard High School, but the location may change. If you aren't on the commission's mailing list, you can go to our website and sign up, and then you will receive email updates about the location. You could check the website in the middle of February and see if the meeting location has changed. At the February meeting, commissioners will speak with a panel of experts about existing policies and procedures, training, and accountability systems to help ensure CPD complies with the Welcoming City Ordinance and relevant CPD directives. If there are issues with what's in place, we'll talk about potential changes to laws, policies, and procedures, training and accountability systems in order to increase public safety and compliance. We've invited the police superintendent and the COPA the COPA interim chief administrator and the inspector general to be on the panel. We're working with DCs and the Non-Citizen Advisory Council to help make sure it's an impactful meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight, for bearing with me in my first meeting as chair. We hope to see you on February 26th, and we hope you'll stay engaged and encourage people to join us in the work. With that, the meeting is adjourned.